Hey guys, Mike Martinez here. I am doing my first live interview in my office here out of Upland. I'm starting off with interviewing my team in debt collections. So I have Chris Galvez, who is my collections regional manager. He's the one that's pretty much running the operation for me at this time. So Chris, I want to introduce him, get some background on him, and kind of what he does, and the structure, organization of the business, and also the plans that we have for the near future, for the immediate future. And yeah, I'll let him introduce himself.
Chris Galvez, Mike's regional manager for his collection offices. We have 5 branches. I started with Mike a long time ago when we were pretty much at, I don't want to say, well, pretty much at the bottom of the food chain. We were both dialing, collecting together side by side. Okay, had a relationship there. He went on and had a company. I eventually joined the company, and we've just been kicking butt and chewing bubble gum ever since, right?
That's right. So we actually met back in, I want to say it was 2008.
Yes.
2008,
Yep.
here in Montclair at a collection law firm. I had just came from Reliant Recovery Services. We used to collect medical debt, which was mainly focused on like Western dental accounts. And then you came into the law firm. I think I was already there.
Yes, you were already there.
And then you got there right afterwards. I literally had a couple months there. I had a couple months there. Was that your first collection job?
That was my first collections job. I was actually very fortunate because at the time everything happens for a reason. So at the time, long story short, a roommate that I had was working at the attorney's office.
Higgins. I remember Higgins.
And he used to talk about you. He used to talk about you. He used to talk about AG. He used to talk about everybody. And then he told me one time, he's like, you know what, Chris? Because that's when people used to call me Chris. Now they call me Galvez, right?
The man.
But yeah, he told me, he's like, man, you got the right kind of like attitude, I think, that would make you do well at this job. And I'm like, well, what's that? He's like, you seem like a nice guy, but if somebody messes with you, you're gonna do something. Something's gonna happen.
The no bullshit side.
Yeah.
And what were you doing before that?
Oh, before that, I was actually a teacher. I was a high school English teacher. Yes, high school English teacher, sophomore class, and I had a freshman class before I kind of decided to part ways with teaching. God bless teachers, by the way. God bless them.
Yeah, that's a hustle. Talk about us, that's a hustle.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what education level did you need to become a teacher? I imagine you had to have at least a bachelor's degree, right?
Yes, at least a bachelor's and a year of credentialing. However, at the time, after I just graduated college, I graduated from UCR, went to community college before then. But when I graduated, I got a job at a bank, didn't like the bank, whatever the case may be, and my family already moved to Florida.
Yeah.
In the St. Lucie area. So
you majored in English, right?
English, yes. I majored a bachelor's in English. And so I didn't have any kind of teaching like background.
Yeah.
Like I just had my degree. And the area that my parents or my family moved out to, they had a surplus of population. They had a population growth. A lot of people were coming in. So they were giving out teaching positions if you just had a bachelor's with the promise to do 2 years of credentialing, like on the weekends.
Okay.
Right? So I was doing weekend classes, teaching. Just found out teaching wasn't for me. Came back to California, and eventually I just landed in collections, and it's been a blessing ever since.
Yeah. So to kind of touch on the collection stuff, I think in order to be successful in debt collections, you have to have a healthy balance of being a salesperson, but also a no bullshit type person.
Yes.
And that was at least my style of collecting, where I would make them like me, and I was very likable, but at the same time, I let them know, hey, look, I'm not fucking around.
Yeah.
Like, you either got to pay this, or there's going to be some serious consequences. So let's fast forward. I know I ended up going back to RRS, and then I ended up going back to, actually left RRS, and then I got a job commission only.
Yes.
With Quinn and Saudi and all these other players that were doing the commission only type deal. I actually thought it was fake. We were making about what, like $5,000 a month on a
Yeah.
good month, 6, 7 grand on a good
Oh,
month
yeah.
in debt collections, and that wasn't bad money at that time. I mean, we're talking about 2008. So when I went back to RS, I heard rumors that there was a collection agency that was paying like 30% commission, and that guys were making 10, 20 grand a month. And I remember leaving. So do you remember when you joined us at this
Yes.
commission only role? Was that what,
I know
2010?
exactly when. It was, yeah, it was like 2008, 2000, no. Like 2010. Yes, it was 2010. Leo was still at the attorney's office.
Yes.
And Leo, me and him, like he tried to start like a little agency. He wanted, like we discussed me doing this after work and helping him out. Didn't fall through. But then he comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, Martinez is making a lot of money at this agency in Corona." I already lived in Corona. Like I'm from the Corona area. So I was like, "Oh, okay." And when I went down there, yeah, we talked. We talked to Q, and you nobody was flashing checks because you guys are classy. Me, I do it because I'm not classy. Okay. No.
Yes, you're a gentleman. You're a gentleman, bro.
Yeah, but at the same time, you could do math and you see your number, your gross number, and you times it by 33% at the minimum. You see that, I'm like, oh wow. And I was always under the belief that if he could do it, I could do it. So that's when I grabbed my little nut, like, I grabbed my nuts and I said, let's do it. Because I was at the attorney's office, and the attorney's office was cool. It was like for me, college in collections. Like I learned out the gate the legal talk off.
Yep. So for those that don't know, what is a talk off?
Talk off is where you give a demand in full for the balance.
Okay.
You identify the individual that we're looking for. You go ahead and let them know. Basically, you Mirandarize them, right? Give them a mini. And then if they decide to go ahead and continue with the conversation, you demand the balance in full.
Yeah. So talk off, for those that don't know, talk off is basically your sales pitch in debt collections where you attempt the close. That's a talk off. Legal talk off means that you're basically threatening a lawsuit, is what a legal talk off is. So I like how you put that. The law firm, the collection law firm that we worked at was like our college for debt collections. Yeah. That's amazing, dude. I love the way you describe that because it's true. It's now that I think about it, I think that's exactly what it was. And so when in 2010 when we started working commission only, I know me personally, I was making between $10,000 and $15,000 a month. And that's kind of when we started tasting real money, because from making 6 grand, 7 grand on a good month, all of a sudden overnight you're making 15 grand a month. I mean, dude, I thought I was rich. Like I was renting a BMW and I was going to freaking Vegas. I'd come back broke and I'm like, I don't give a fuck because I'll make it back in a week, right? So what was your experience when you started making, like how much were your fat checks and how fast did it take you to get there when you turned from an hourly employee to a commission employee?
So when I was an hourly, that was at the attorney's office, and I did like 2 years there. So I learned the ins and out of the industry, at least from that standpoint, right? When I started doing the commission only, man, I always tell this story, but like for the first, the biggest, let's go with the biggest checks, okay? It didn't take me long to hit like a 10 following a certain game plan. So that's like what, 3,500, okay? And that was within maybe a month, right? Maybe
so you
90,
started off only making 3,500?
Yeah.
A month?
Correct. That was like my first check. That was like my first check.
Okay.
Right?
When you went,
but the next month, I hit a 20.
I don't think people really realize or understand how hard it is to cross over from a hourly job, the stability and the security, to a commission only job. Like it's super scary. And even though they dangle a carrot in front of you and they say, you're going to make all this money, you're going to make 10, 20 grand, 30 grand. That's what you're going to make by converting over to commission. I don't think people realize how scary that is. Yeah. I know I was scared. How did you feel about that?
I was super scared, worried, and that's why I didn't really hit, like, I think for maybe a week and a half of work, I didn't really hit a big check. So it took little by little gaining, because what it needs to do is like it's going off a cliff. You don't know what's going to happen. So you got to get confidence. You build your confidence by seeing things that are successful.
Yeah.
So you get some success here and there. I started closing, and then when I started closing, then I'm hitting 20s and 30s. And now you're talking about the 8 to 10 grand a month.
Yeah.
But before that, yeah, no, there's a little learning curve.
Is it safe
and it's
to
a
say,
mental thing.
Is it safe to say that you couldn't sleep at night because of
yes.
how scary it was? Because I know I went through that when I converted from an hourly job to commission. And then I also went through that when I launched my first company. Like I could not sleep at night because of how scary it was. We have a family to provide for. So it's definitely a jump, and I think everybody goes through it. So how long did it take you to start making $10,000, $15,000 checks? Because I know we got to that point.
60 days.
Like 60 days, 2 months?
60 days,
okay.
like 2 months. So like my first month, like that first big month, I had like a 10, then a 20, and then I had 20s from then on.
Yeah.
20s, 30s. The biggest check I've ever gotten walking out of one of these places is like $27,000.
Yeah.
Like the income potential.
$27,000.
A check. It said my name. Boom. 27.
Was that 2011?
Yeah. Yeah, because like after we started there at the training center, like I was already a year into it, and that's when I hit that 50. And that's when I got that big one.
I
27,
remember.
It was probably like 22, 23. I don't know.
I remember you and I
over
had our
20.
own teams.
Yeah.
And we were competitors. And I'm gonna be honest, how I feel about that whole situation is I think I worked hard, but I don't think I was as disciplined as you, and I don't think I worked as hard as you did. I would come in a little later, I would leave a little earlier. On Fridays, I had a bad habit of on Fridays at 12 o'clock. Afternoon, I didn't want to work anymore. I just wanted to get drunk. I was like in my mid-20s, and I just wanted to, on Friday afternoon, I just wanted to get drunk, dude. And I remember you were still working. I'd be leaving the office all drunk out of my ass. And then on Saturdays, you know, it'd be rare if you find me there. You would sometimes if my number was low and I needed to make more commission money, you'd find me there on a Saturday. But dude, every time I would come to the office, you were already there. Every time I would leave the office, you were still there. So I know that's why right now it's very advantageous for me to have you on my side, helping me run the operation, because you have a work ethic like I've rarely seen. Probably even better than me.
Yeah, I mean, it's the game, man. It's like once you get like you gotta make contributions to the game, and sometimes sacrifices have to be made, and that's the time. You know what I mean? Like I always talk about collections like not as just the college degree, but like as a female. Like in the law office, I was flirting with this business. When we went we went to commission only, I was like, dang, okay, now we're gonna get serious. Now we're gonna get a little serious, right? And then when I ventured off to do like my own things and stuff like that, getting into this spot, it's like, yeah, I'm married to the game, man.
Yeah.
And that's the time you have to give it to. You got to give it your all. At least that's why I feel.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. So let's fast forward to 2012 when you first joined my company. I remember that I was kind of short-staffed and I was making some adjustments, and you came in and you actually were a big contribution to my success in like 2013, 2014.
Are we talking about up the street? Or?
Yeah, we're talking about at RPA.
Yeah.
So that's one of the companies that I owned with a partner. And you came on right before I ventured out and opened my own business on my own. And you know, I ended up parting ways with my old partner, but you stayed, and you ended up, you know, you were always loyal, dude. You were always loyal. So, what kind of money were you making with me in those days? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, like I was making anywhere from like $7,000 to $10,000 a check.
So,
Like
so you were bringing in like
7 to 8. So yeah.
So you were averaging about 15 grand a month.
Correct.
Getting close to 20,000 a month, and this was back in 2014, 15. Yep. You were with me for a lot of years. I know you were a collection manager for me in 2016 under AG, and then you ended up leaving for whatever reasons. Where did you go, and how was your experience when you left my organization?
Oh man, so I basically, what happened here was just a kind of like Icarus flying too close to the sun. Okay. So I saw how it was being managed and how like I was covering or doing most of the ideas were mine. So him
Taking credit?
not just taking credit, but me just seeing like I could do this. I could do this in my sleep. All I needed was just a little kind of like training on how to build a structure. Once I got that, I'm like, all right, cool. I could just do this myself.
And just so the viewers understand, we had a general manager that was your boss.
Yeah, correct.
Right? I've always been the CEO. I've always been the owner. But I had a general manager running the organization for me. So you were a collection manager right underneath him. And you were bringing a lot to the table. And you kind of feel like there was a lot of politics going on within the company.
Politics,
that you didn't agree with.
and then like there was also like an alienation that like he did between you and me, because you and I have always had a good relationship.
Yeah.
When I left, I didn't even think I was leaving Mike. I was leaving AG. You know what I mean?
Okay.
How many times do you hear that? You know,
Yeah,
in your life.
Yeah.
You know, so it is what it is. You know, brighter futures. But like, yeah, no, I went from a very well-oiled machine to like almost going back to the caveman days, okay, when it comes to collections, because I sought out an old mentor, and you know, I heard he was, you know, Quinn,
Doing well.
Quinn, yeah, I heard he was doing well. He was opening up shop. I was genuinely like excited for him. I was like, all right, let me seek him out, see what happens. And yeah, no, like all these places just need a little structure, and you're making a ton of money.
Yeah.
And it just depends on the owner to take that into account and allow people around them to do what they need to do to make a lot of money.
Yeah, of course.
So if you can't relinquish that control, if you can't, you're playing the game small. And I was there for a year, maybe a year and a half, and I didn't want to play the game small anymore. I'm not about that life. So what happened was, so funny that we were talking about AG, he actually texted me when you guys hit a million. Because remember, at RPA, we would talk about that.
So
we talked about the $1 million office.
Yeah, and just so the viewers understand, a healthy agency that buys its own debt probably does healthy about $300,000 a month. That's what I was doing back in 2016, and I thought I was on top of the world. I thought I had seen it all, and that wasn't shit. So a agency that's surviving can survive on $100,000 a month. There got to a point in 2017 where we were doing $600,000 a month, 17 and 18 consistently. In 2019, I went from collecting $600,000 to $300,000 overnight because we got sued by Navy Federal Credit Union. And well, we didn't get sued. My client got sued. But since we were the servicing agency, it affected us. And I was just in the backseat of along for the ride in this lawsuit. But it affected the business because my client was no longer placing that fire debt with us. What I mean by fire debt, it's very collectible. It's easy to get the money out. And so we went from 600 to 300 overnight. That was really scary because you're already used to sustaining a certain balance and order in your corporation, in your business. And it's already a big enough machine where you have a lot of overhead and expenses. So if you don't have the income to sustain that, it's scary. Like, it's like steering a ship that's unstable. So it was really scary in 2019. And in 2020, when COVID hit, it was even scarier. Luckily, what saved us is that I started studying real estate wholesaling companies. And I started learning about their structures. So what I started doing is I started teaching AG about different tools and utilizing technology. Like, just a quick example is like text blasting. Using power dialers. We never did that in the past. We never used power dialers. I got a virtual team overseas in Latin America, and they were helping us do some of the lifting. Now, that's not how we got to where we're at right now, but what that did is it helped us get through COVID, and it helped us learn that there's other ways that we can apply technology and strategies to boost up our numbers quickly. And then it opened our minds. We started tracking KPIs. which is key performance indicators. We started looking at macros, things like that. So I started teaching AG about how to actually run like a multi-million-dollar company. And that, along with, you know, the economy getting stimulus checks and us scaling at the same time, we had to hire in order to sustain the collections. Before we knew it, we looked back and we're like, we just fucking hit 1 million, dude. And that's when he texted you.
He texted me that, and I didn't text him back. The first person I texted was you, because I still have, then and now, like, mad love and respect for you.
Thank you.
So I was just like, bro, congrats. And that's what opened our conversation. And we went to Lap, and we freaking killed it.
So that's when we opened up the small branch office, because I still had AG running this big monster over here, 70 employees, you know, doing $1 million a month. And that's when I pulled you away from Quinn, and we recruited Shaw. Well, Shaw was already with me. He bumped heads with AG, left, and I just felt like there was something that I had to salvage with him, because he's such a good collector. He's one of those people that does not want to be managed, can't tell him anything, but he's a killer. If you give him the opportunity, he'll make money for himself and for the organization. So I'm glad we crushed it, dude. Last year, in 6 months, I mean, you freaking basically did what? You did over $1 million for me in 6 months.
Well, man, it was all you. You told me what to do. Like, I just was trying to follow a game plan, because you know how, like, that phrase, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired? Yeah. Well, this time, like, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I said, you know what, I'm going to listen, and I'm just going to apply.
Yeah, you figured a lot of stuff out on your own, though.
Yeah.
And I got to give you credit for it. When it comes to managing the system, when it comes to managing the debt, I mean, you're really creative with finding the creditors that are easy to pay. You're good at finding the payers. You're good at strategically collecting the debt. And that, along with the resources that we have and just providing a whole structure for you, dude, I mean, it's inevitable to make millions. So, you know, my general manager is no longer with us. He decided to leave the company a few months ago. And it was pretty nerve-wracking for me, because I had to see who was loyal to me and who was loyal to him. Since he was running the business for me, it was scary for a second. I thought a lot of my managers and top closers were going to follow him. And surprisingly, everybody, you know, said, I'm loyal to you. I'm loyal to you, Mike. So, I think with that, with the managers, and now I'm realizing how much work all of the managers did collectively for Aaron when he left. And I think right now it's just a beautiful fit, where you're running the organization with the other managers. We're doing $1.5 million consistently every single month. And we all know that our goal is $2 million a month.
Yes.
And we all know that we're going to get there.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a matter of time, but God willing, it'll be this year. So we have a plan, and I just thank you, bro.
I really thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, I really thank you, and we got big plans, and I'll keep growing and I'll keep scaling the business. I could take this as far as you guys want to take this.
Let's go.
So, cool. Thanks, bro.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That's it, guys, for now. You guys got to meet Chris Galvez, my regional collection manager. This guy's an absolute beast. He's crushing it. Make sure you follow him on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle?
At I am Galvatron.
And if you guys want to join the organization, this is the guy that you got to go through to get into the empire. He currently has the keys. Right now, what you basically need to do is reach out to him through Instagram, send him a DM. We only want serious people. You do start at the bottom. You know, what's minimum wage in California? Like $15 an hour? Correct. We don't want people that want to work for minimum wage. Exactly. We just give you that for gas money. We're looking for people that are chasing the commission money.
Hustlers.
We want people that are we got people making $20,000 a month. Our top closers are making even $25,000 a month. So this is definitely an opportunity, but you guys need to seize the moment, and you got to go through the gatekeeper. All right? Let's get it.